Silver Creek Studios, I'm Jared, and this is the BFIBs Almanac. So I've missed a little bit of time this week. I've been sick with a chest cold. I've had to miss some time and delay the podcast a little bit. So I appreciate you holding out, but I'm back better than ever. I'm not really better than ever. I'm still kind of struggling here, but we'll see how this goes. The other podcast I do, that one we've missed almost 2 weeks between illness and scheduling and everything. So we're getting ready to record tonight for that one as well. But we got a lot to discuss here on the Cardinals, so let's dig in. All right, the ongoing storyline in spring training is that the starting hitters are not hitting. Kind of all the big names, the guys who are going to make the team and be the starters, are still not really doing much. A couple of them have come around a little bit, and nobody's really putting up an O for yet except Ozuna, who is still 0 for 13, I believe. But let's kind of go down the list here. So, of all these big name guys, everybody's got at least 15 plate appearances. Some of them have up to 20. One guy's got over 20. We'll get to that. But only 2 guys have 5 or more hits. Wong has 5 and Goldschmidt has 6. Everybody else is, Carp's only got 3 hits. Bader's only got 2. Jose Martinez only has 3. Fowler's only got 3. DeYoung's got 4 hits. So these guys are really still struggling. A lot of strikeouts are piling up. Bader's got 6. Martinez has 6. Ozuna, Fowler, Wong all have 5. Carp's only got 2. Goldschmidt's only got 1 strikeout. So not too bad there. A lot of them aren't taking walks. Goldschmidt's got 5 walks. Carp, Ozuna, Bader, Martinez, they've only got 3. Fowler doesn't have any walks. Wong's only got 1. So not a lot from the starting offense. Again, they're putting up a lot of runs, but it's coming from the young guys. It's coming from the prospects, the back end of the bench, so to speak. So it's again, we're still not quite halfway through spring, and I do think as these guys get more at bats, once they start paring down the roster, sending some of the prospects down to minor league camp, the starters are going to get more innings, more at bats, and hopefully they come around. But it's only spring, it's still early, but it is something to be a little alarmed about. So right now the team is 5-6-2. We don't really care about their record in spring that much, but that's 13 games in. They have 18 games left, so they're just a couple games before the 500 mark, or halfway through spring. So, it seems like they got a lot of time left, but they really don't. It's just over 2 weeks, and really they're going to start, like I said, they're going to start paring down that roster much sooner than that, and they're going to start having to make decisions based on performance about who's going to play more, who's going to get more opportunities, and ultimately who's going to stay with the team on their way back to St. Louis. So it'll be interesting to see. This is going to start happening fast as changes happen in the roster and the lineups. So kind of going into spring, one of the big stories was Fowler and Cecil being on the hot seat. A lot of people this offseason, and the media was reporting it, that Fowler was going to be on a fairly short leash. If he didn't come out of the gate hitting pretty well, they were going to have to decide whether to move on, whether that means putting him on the bench and he would come in as a pinch hitter or, a platoon guy every few days. But if he wasn't hitting, which is what he did last year, would not hit, then they weren't going to allow that to happen again, and they weren't going to get stuck in this 2-3 month long rut of him not producing. So here we are halfway through spring, and he's still not really producing. Now, he was 0-4 for a while, and in the last few games, he's gotten his, the 3 hits that he have come recently. So he does have a double mixed in there. He's been doing a little better, and they say his exit velocity is faster than it was at any point last season, and his swings look better. I don't know. I've heard mixed reports on that. I've heard some people say his swing looks really slow and he looks like he's, lethargic. But I've heard other people say, no, he looks great. He's swinging, hitting the ball, making decent contact. He just hasn't had a hit yet. So I don't know. To me, it's probably somewhere in between. I don't think he looks as good as some of these reports are. I don't think he looks as bad as some of the reports either, somewhere in the middle. But he's not producing yet. And a guy who is Tyler O'Neill. Now, I didn't mention him when I was talking about the other guys who aren't hitting. O'Neill has had 26 plate appearances, more than almost anybody, I think, on the team. 5 hits, and 4 of those 5 hits were home runs, and he had mixed in a double in there. And actually, I think today they're playing right now against Houston. This was the split squad game on Friday, and he was the only Cardinal to have a hit at that point when I last checked in that game. So I guess he's got 6 hits now, and it wasn't a home run, I checked. But anyway, so he's doing his part. Now he does have only 5 walks, which is, plenty. That's more than any of those other starters I mentioned. And he does have 7 strikeouts, which is not good. But you'll take that when you're getting 4 home runs and high OPS. So he's looking good. He's doing his part. But is he even going to have a chance? They're committing to Fowler, it seems like, and they're committing to Ozuna, and they're going to give those guys the first chance to play and to perform. The question is, are they going to give those guys a chance to perform into April and May before they come around? I don't know. We'll see. I have heard one proposal, and this wasn't based on reporting or anything. This was just, it might have been Ben Fredrickson giving his opinion on the post. Like I said, it wasn't a report. It was just he suggested the possibility of Ozuna starting the season on the DL, 15-day DL, which would give him a chance to get his arm right and get his swing back, and would potentially motivate him to want to get back. And he seems to play better under motivation. What did he sleep through? He slept in last year and got benched, and he immediately started hitting better after that. So it seems like when he feels threatened for playing time or, embarrassed or whatever, he starts playing better. I don't know if I buy into that, but that's what this article said. But you could start him on the DL, and then you could have O'Neill in left, or a platoon of O'Neill and Martinez splitting time, and then working, that will give you a little bit of time to see what Fowler does. And if he isn't performing, then you can slot O'Neill right back into right field, bring Ozuna back after 15 days, and there's your starting outfield. So I don't know. We'll see if that plays out. There's a lot that has to happen between now and then. But that being said, the narrative was that if Fowler doesn't come out of the gate hitting and looking like a totally different player, then they were going to need to make a decision and move on. Well, to me, they're nearing the point of having to make that decision because he's not really hitting yet. Now, maybe he'll pick it up this weekend, and by midway through next week, we won't even be worrying about it. But as long as O'Neill keeps pushing the issue with his hitting, and it looks like he is, and as long as Fowler keeps pushing the issue with his lack of hitting, then I don't know. This could come to a head sooner than later. So we'll see. The other guy on the hot seat was Brett Cecil. And as soon as he threw one inning, he basically got shut down. And it was kind of at his own urging. So in case you don't know, he lost a ton of weight in the offseason. I want to say like 30 pounds, maybe even 40. Completely changed his body type. He looks like a different guy. And he is saying that his arm slot, his overall mechanics are altered now because of this change in his body. And he needs to figure out what he's doing. I think he says he knows what he's doing wrong. He just needs to have time to work on it, not in these game situations where he's essentially auditioning. So the Cardinals shut him down. They're allowing him to do that. I don't know. To me, that sounds like kind of a lame excuse. What were you doing all offseason if you weren't figuring out your body type and your arm slot and your mechanics? That's what you should have been doing in December and January and early February, so that you showed up to camp ready to throw. You don't show up to camp and say, oh, guess what? My body's different and now I need to adjust my mechanics. So I don't know. It seems like maybe a made up excuse. Maybe he's got some other injury going on, some impingement, something that's not right. And this is just their way of shutting him down. I think they see him as fragile mentally. And they do not want to repeat last year, which was, again, he went through a lot of personal issues with family health and things that he had to deal with, plus a poor performance, and it all just kind of compiled. But I think they don't want to see that again with him losing his mental edge and his ability to perform on the field. So they're kind of babying him. I don't know. Maybe he'll be fine. He'll figure out those mechanics in his arm slot and come back better than ever. And it's totally effective lefty reliever out of the pen. But I have my suspicions that something else is going on and we might not see him again. I don't know. But like I said, he was on the hot seat. He was going to have to prove it in spring. And if he didn't, they were going to move on and let the bullpen proceed without him. And at this point, they have. He hasn't been pitching, but it's kind of been this acceptable, okay shutdown thing as opposed to, them saying, you're terrible and we don't want to have you out there anymore. They haven't said that yet, but don't be surprised if that's what's coming soon. We'll see. Speaking of Ozuna, and he wasn't exactly on the hot seat, but there was this question of whether he was going to be ready to throw, whether he had done all of his conditioning or not, which was not overseen by the team. He did it on his own back home. But he did seem to be doing the work. He showed up early for spring training and worked with Akendo on his throwing mechanics. There were some early on video clips that did not look good of him throwing. And just yesterday, he posted some video clips on his Instagram account of him throwing. And it still looks really awkward, though it seems effective. He was playing catch with a guy, long toss, and the ball was getting there, and it was getting there on a line drive, and it was a fairly good distance. It was kind of hard to tell because you were looking from behind him, so it was hard to tell exactly how far the guy he's playing catch with was. You never know with the camera they're using and the depth of field, and it's hard to say. But you could sort of tell by the time that the ball was in the air and the lack of arc. So he was basically throwing line drives. You could see the ball stay on the top of the frame the whole time, and it was in the air a good, second and a half, maybe 2 seconds. So you could extrapolate all that and say, well, this is how far he was thrown. Either way, it was a form of long toss. He was throwing line drives on the money right to the guy, but he just looks awkward doing it. He looks like he's shot putting it, kind of short arming it. Definitely not a normal throwing motion that you would expect. Now, I don't know that much about Ozuna over the years. I know what he was throwing like last year, and that was awful. And I know how he looks now, and it's not much better. The ball's coming out quicker, and he seems to have some strength there. Doesn't seem to have pain, but it just doesn't look right. And I have to wonder if he's nursing an injury still, some kind of impingement that he might, have a flare up again. So we'll see. Something to keep an eye on. But at the very least, he is able to play catch and throw the ball pretty far, pretty hard, and get it to where he's aiming. So apparently this weekend, he is going to make some throws in front of the team and throw to bases and things like that. They're going to see how accurate he is and what kind of velocity he's got. And if he looks okay, he's going to start in left field on Monday. At this point, he has only been hitting as a DH. He will play the field this coming Monday if all goes well with his throws. Now, his hitting has been very poor so far. He is still 0 for the spring with at least 16 plate appearances, maybe up to 19 after today. So he still hasn't done anything. His strikeouts are piling up. His hitting was not supposed to have been affected by his shoulder. He ended the season hitting pretty good last year. Now, he did have surgery, so he does have to figure some things out. But he's not there yet. And if he's not hitting any better than this, I'm certain they will shut him down and put him on the DL and say he's got to work it out in Memphis. But at this point, they're still trotting him out there, so hopefully he can get going, show that he can throw, get in some full game action. I'm sure being a DH is a little awkward when you're used to playing in the field. But so we'll see how that goes. He's not exactly on the hot seat, but the seat's getting warm. again, as some of these backup outfielders are impressing the club, it puts pressure on Ozuna and Fowler to really kind of do their thing. So we'll see. All right, moving on, we've got Yadier Molina is back, folks. He's been out for a while, resting that knee. He actually hasn't been out. He's been doing a lot of drills. He's been catching bullpen sessions for some of the starters. So he's been getting his work in, but they wanted to ease him into spring. Now, that being said, he was supposed to return about a week from now in the middle of March, and they have pushed that up to, he played today. Now, he didn't catch today. He DH'd, but the plan is that he's going to catch in the game for Adam Wainwright tomorrow on Saturday. So he got a hit in his first at-bat today. He actually came around and scored a run. He was 1 for 2. He had a line out to first base in his second at-bat. So a good outing for him, definitely for his first game back. And something that I would be a little concerned about is this apparent trend of moving up these schedules. So they come up with an idea, a plan for when these guys are going to return from an injury or rehab or whatever, and then they seem to move it up. You got Molina, Reyes has his whole schedule moved up at least a week. Munoz was injured. He was hit on the hand, and they thought he was going to miss several days, and basically the next day he said he was fine, and I think he returned the day after that. So and then we got Francisco Pena, who has the side strain from when he was swinging a bat, and he was supposed to miss, I think, 10 to 15 days, and now they're saying, well, he's only going to miss a week. So I don't really like in spring pushing up all these return deadlines. If you thought they needed to miss a certain amount of time, then you should stick with that and let them slowly rehab. Now, I suppose they were just being overly conservative with all these estimates. And as these guys show up ready to go and they're totally healthy and fit, then you say, okay, let's put them in. But to me, you're just risking potential injury. If you thought they needed to wait a certain amount of time, then wait that amount of time. If you thought it was going to take 2 weeks to be ready to come back and catch a game for Yachty, then wait 2 more weeks. Why are we pushing this up? We don't need to advance these guys any faster than we need to. So I don't know. Maybe it's no big deal. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but I don't like when you come up with a timeline for recovering from an injury and then you just rush it. If this was a playoff push, if we were falling in the standings and we needed Yachty back or we needed that arm out of the bullpen, okay, fine. Push up the schedule. Let's get him back, see what he can do, even at 90%. But we don't need it at this point, so let's get everybody fully healed and fully healthy. So just something I've noticed. Seems like their schedules keep changing, but maybe it's no big deal. All right, let's wrap it up with some positive notes that we've seen from the pitching staff. So Andrew Miller has looked much better in his last couple outings. His first one was pretty rough. He got tagged in just 2/3 of an inning. He hit some batters. He gave up a bunch of runs. His next time out, he pitched 1 inning, no hits, no walks, 1 strikeout, very effective inning. And then just his last outing, he had 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, 2 walks, and a strikeout, no earned runs, got out of the inning with no damage. So not quite as sharp in this last outing, but still good, effective. He's working on some pitches. Good to see him have a couple scoreless outings, so that's good. Jordan Hicks is filthy. I don't know if you know that. His last time out, he had 4 strikeouts in 1 inning. One of them was a dropped third strike that it wasn't even dropped. It was a nasty, filthy slider that just dove off the plate as the guy swung at it. And the catcher, I think it was Pena, just couldn't even get a glove on it, and it bounced away from him, and he had to take off. So that guy got to first, and what does Hicks do? He strikes out the next guy. So he's just crazy good. He's throwing 103 miles an hour, pitch after pitch after pitch. I think he had some 8 or 9 pitch sequence, only one of which was under 100. It was at 99. And these aren't just four-seam fastballs that are going in, lightning speed. These are sliders, cutters, balls moving all over the place at over 100 miles an hour. I don't know how these hitters even make contact, but it's fun to watch. Jack Flaherty had 9 strikeouts in his last outing, 7 in a row. So he is locked in. He's on fire. Very effective, dominating guys out there. He's using multiple pitches that he didn't use last year. So he's locating, he's getting ahead in the count early, and he's attacking hitters and being effective. So that is fun to watch. Waka had a great outing a couple outings ago. I would have said the best outing of spring. At that point, it was 3 innings pitched, no hits, 4 strikeouts. Only had 1 base runner, which was a 4-pitch walk in that outing. So a very good outing. The last time up, not as good. He gave up 2 home runs in the first inning. Then he had 4 decent innings, 6 hits, including those 2 home runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks, but no more damage. So he did give up those 2 home runs. This was today on the Friday split squad game. But after those 2 home runs, no more damage. He did let a few guys get on, but he pitched out of it 4 innings. So good to see him getting stretched out. And even though he had some early trouble, he didn't let it get to him, and he kept coming out and looked good. So John Gant was not as good the last time. He had been pretty steady going into this, but he pitched 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, which came on a home run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. So he really had the 1 inning with the home run, the 3-run homer that did all the damage. The other 2 innings sandwiched around that one were good. So not as sharp for him, but still a decent outing. And I still think he's going to end up being the 5th starter for various reasons. I think he's going to end up being potentially the most consistent guy available, but also because of his options, he can't be sent back down. I don't know if he's as appealing of a piece out of the bullpen as he is as a starter. So, but that being said, Dakota Hudson is also pitching today. He started the second game of the split squad, and he was looking very good through the first 3 or 4 innings. So maybe Hudson will take that spot. Maybe it'll be Alex Reyes. I don't know, but I think it's going to be Gant because he's not exactly that fireballer in the bullpen, and he is a nice, steady, proven starter that he did. He started several games for us last year, so I think it's going to be him. But maybe somebody will overtake him. We shall see. So that's all I got. That's a little kind of a spring training recap update for this week. I apologize. I kind of had to delay some things a little bit with my illness this week, but I'm feeling better. Wanted to get back in here for you guys. And I hope you're enjoying the content. I'm trying to find the little things that maybe not everybody's aware of, or they aren't able to keep up with everybody's plate appearances and who's doing what and who's standing out. But the good news is we've had several prospects looking very good at the plate, and several pitchers have done well. So it'll be interesting to see who gets sent down even when they're playing well, who gets sent back to minor league camp, and who sticks around and gets extra opportunities. So a lot's going to happen in the next week. So we will get another episode coming up soon in a couple days. But until then, I'm Jared, and this is the BFIBs Almanac.